Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Al Haidab, and I'm here to welcome you all to the second International Conference on Cybersecurity, Cybercrimes, and Smart Emerging Technologies, organized by the Center of Excellence in Quantum and Intelligent Computing and the EIS Data Science Research Lab. We gather here to confront the urgent challenges in cybersecurity. In a world driven by technology and data, the need for a robust defense against cyber threats has never been more critical. CCSET is not just a conference. It's a crucible of expertise and innovation dedicated to shaping the future of cybersecurity. Over the next few days, we unite experts, researchers, and industry leaders to exchange insights and pioneer solutions. Together, we stand against the evolving landscape of cybercrimes, forging alliances that will fortify our digital ecosystem. As we delve into these discussions and workshops, let our shared commitment echo beyond these walls, influencing policies and safeguarding our interconnected world. Thank you all for joining us on this vital journey, with special thanks to His Excellency Dr. Khalid Sabti, to His Excellency Dr. Nasser bin Mansour, to His Excellency Dr. Saleh Al-Freh. Please welcome with me Dr. Saad Ruwaita, Vice President for Administrative and Financial Affairs at Prince Sultan University.
Assalamu alaikum, sabah al-khair. Distinguished guests, esteemed colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's with immense honor and profound gratitude that I welcome you to the second International Conference on Cybersecurity, Cybercrimes, and Smart Emerging Technology, CCSET 2023. CCSET 2023 is yet another important initiative in the context of PSU proactive strategy to address local and international problems and priorities. This momentous gathering, organized by the Center of Excellence in Quantum and Intelligent Computing and EIS Data Science Research Lab with esteemed College of Computer Science and Information Systems of Prince Sultan University, marks a pivotal moment in our collective pursuit of secure, resilient, and technologically empowered future. In today's increasingly interconnected world, cybersecurity has emerged as a critical cornerstone of our society as we embrace the transformative power of emerging technologies. We must also remain vigilant against the ever-evolving threats that loom the digital realm. Cybersecurities ranging from data breaches and ransomware attacks to identity theft and cyber espionage pose a grave danger to our institutions, our economies, and our every way of life. As we delve into the depth of cybersecurity and smart emerging technologies, let us not lose sight of human dimensions. The sequences of cyber attacks extend far beyond the realm of technology, impacting individuals, communities, and nations alike. We must strive to develop not only robust cybersecurity measures, but also strategies that promote digital inclusivity, protect privacy, and uphold ethical principles in the digital age. the Center of Excellence in the Quantum and Intelligent Computing and IAS Data Science Lab with the College of Computer Science and Information stands at the forefront of this endeavor, nurturing a new generation of cybersecurity professionals and fostering the culture of innovation and resilience. CCSET 2023 is a treatment to this commitment, providing a platform for emerging scholars to showcase their groundbreaking research and connect with mentors and potential collaborators. As we embark on the next chapter of the digital revolution, let us harness the collective wisdom and expertise gathered here today to shape a future where cybersecurity is not just a reactive measure, but a proactive force for good. Let us build a world where smart emerging technologies empower us, not endanger us, where innovation thrives amidst security, and where the digital realm serves as a bridge to more secure, prosperous, and equitable society. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Saad Roueta, for your wise words. And now, to provide us with a brief summary encapsulating the essence of this vital conference on cybersecurity, cybercrimes, and smart emerging technologies, please join me in welcoming Dr. Mohammed Al-Afandi, the Chair of Conferences.
السلام عليكم جميعا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. His Excellency Minister Computer Scientist Dr. Khalid Al-Softy, Dr. Saad Roueta, Vice President, Vice Presidents, Deans, faculty members, our dear guests, we welcome you to a very special conference, the second International Conference on Cybersecurity, Cybercrime, and emerging smart topics. The words have been actually carefully selected, and this is not a luxury conference. It is a conference deeply embedded our track of research in the university, as I'm going to explain gradually. So on behalf of my teams in the Center of Excellence in Quantum and Intelligent Computing, IAS Data Science Lab, and the College of Computer and Information Sciences, it's my pleasure to welcome you all to this important conference, second international conference in cybersecurity, cybercrime, and smart emerging technologies. We abbreviate it CCSET 2023, and it is the second version of the conference. The last conference have been actually held here, but towards the end of the Corona season, so it was all virtual. And it was very successful actually, despite the fact that it was totally online. And it led us actually to repeat, it is a serial, it is an international conference. It will be a serial conference and need not always be hosted by PSU. It's owned actually by the Center of Excellence in Quantum Computing and IAS. But already, if you look at the technical committee in our program, it's a huge number of names participating in this conference, and also so many collaborators from different parts of the world. Some of them will appear today, some of them may appear later, okay? Generally, the conference emerged as a natural evolution of research in the areas of our research lab, IAS Data Science Lab. And from that actually story, we actually established this lab. Actually, it has been just approved. The lab, the Center of Excellence in Computing and Quantum Computing, has been just established at the beginning of this semester, but with great promise in different aspects. So I hope that we all enjoy every minute of it and make sure that we learn and exchange experiences, knowledge, and ideas. And actually, sharing is one of the major objectives of this conference. Just a brief idea about the activities related to this conference. The response has been great, actually, for the call of papers. We received about 95 papers, which is a great number. We accepted only 27 for the conference. These papers cover topics from cybersecurity, quantum computing, and other fields that are related actually to the conference. Postgraduate students actively engaged in this conference. They submitted some papers from within PSU and outside PSU. Global representation, again, is very impressive. All continents in the globe are represented in the conference. Diverse topics from cybersecurity to quantum computing, from blockchain to edge computing. It covers actually a full spectrum of topics, hot topics that are related to our tracks of research. There are 3 dedicated tracks that will be launched after the break. The Center of Excellence in Quantum Computing is very special because it emerged as a natural actual outcome and evolution of our strategy and innovation movement. It became clear from our exploratory research in ES data science that there are 3 technologies that will shape the world we live in today. One of them is intelligent computing, and here it includes quantum computing and the other forms of intelligent computing that resulted from cloud computing and distributed algorithms, and hardware and software. In the hardware, of course, there is quantum computing. In other hardware forms, of course, the GPU clouds that are being established around the clock. Another important topic is 5G, 6G technologies. And this is very interesting. Many people will be surprised to mention 5G, 6G in the context of the technology that will shape the near future. But if you read about the vision of 5G, 6G, you will be surprised to learn that the major purpose, actually, and the major vision of 6G is merged reality, which is another form of reality. We have mixed reality, extended reality, so many realities. But this one, the vision here is to merge the physical world with the virtual world. So interesting as a vision for a communication technology. But this is the reality, actually. 5G, 6G will be one of the technologies that shape the world in the near future, and we are working on that hard in our lab, and we submitted some projects in this area. Another surprising area, complex adaptive systems and blockchain technology. Actually, from the beginning in our lab, we discovered that actually blockchain technology will be very significant for the future of AI and the future of computing in the world. Together, of course, we showed that actually blockchain is a complex adaptive system, a realization of complex adaptive systems. So complex adaptive systems with blockchain technologies are one of these 3 technologies are very crucial to the coming years and will shape actually what we call AI today. Okay, so regarding the blockchain technologies, they are used now everywhere. Many companies actually, in the meeting with LG 2 weeks ago, we noticed that actually they are mentioning blockchain as one of the main technologies that will shape the world in the future. of course, for intelligent computing, we know that, I mean, there are things that we see. For complex adaptive systems, it is under the surface now working. Actually, if you notice that many software development now is turning complex adaptive. Many of the applications that we use every day, for example, like delivery systems, are complex adaptive systems. This is a big change in the way we develop software, and also in the way. Another feature of blockchain is security by design. They are secure by design. We don't need to, and that makes them very natural, secure by design, very efficient, safe. Of course, there are some sort of problems that still occur with them. So based on this, actually, we realized we've performed, of course, a lot of research in these areas. We have many publications in quantum computing, cybersecurity, blockchain technology. Actually, there are products as well that have been published. And sensing these things, actually, we decided to establish, and in collaboration, of course, with some labs abroad, labs in China, labs in USA, quantum labs, I mean, in this case. And we reached actually the point that it is important now to establish a quantum center for quantum and intelligent computing. There are two components to this, actually. There is quantum computing, and there is intelligent computing. Sometimes they compete, sometimes they can go together. So in this case, actually, we are using both. We are playing on both sides. In the center, we'll be developing areas in traditional computing, intelligent algorithms in traditional computing platforms, and also intelligent algorithms in the area of quantum computing. The major features of this center focused with an ambitious strategy to conduct applied and theoretical research, innovation by design. This is a very important thing that we integrated in our research. Innovation by design means that integrating innovation in the research process. And this is why we promised the university when we established the quantum computing center that will not cost the university anything. We'll try to make it actually included in our activities. So from the beginning, innovation, there is an innovation unit in the center, and there is an innovation process that is integrated in the research process through what we call commercialization cycle. And for that purpose, actually, we invited a venture capitalist, Walid al-Balla. He's invited. I don't see him today. He will be part of us as an advisor. He's an investor. And from the beginning, all the projects that we design, he is with us on these projects. And most probably, this will lead to some products and startups very soon. And in that case, we will avoid taking any money from the university, but we promise actually also to provide some income from the university. International collaboration with international similar centers and experts, real innovation. More than one startup are on the pipeline now. Okay. Now, all these activities have been based on our innovation movement that started 4 years ago in 2019 with establishing EAS Lab. And in that case also, from the beginning, we included the innovation by design. Our innovation movement is based on 3 principles. We have broad dynamic scope, broad dynamic scope. The earlier days of focused, narrow bound research are over, in my opinion, because the technology now and the development are very dynamic, and it's very important actually to cope with this as you jump around. So the first principle, broad dynamic scope, dynamic strategy to identify priorities, predict trends, and work at the edge. The second principle, get the full picture, very important for innovation, to get a bird's eye view of the technology and how it moves. And also, of course, after that, keep close eye on technological developments and proactively derive solutions for anticipated problems. adopt an innovation by design approach to integrate innovation in the research process. So now the stack is quite clear. We have a sort of innovation by design. We have a full center now, and also we have processes and techniques actually to carry the mission and to involve the mission. At the end, actually, I thank you all. I thank Minister Dr. Khalid Sabti for obeying our invitation, Dr. Saad al-Ruwaiti, and the leader of PSU for facilitating these activities and encouraging. Actually, PSU lately have been adopting a very proactive research policy that led actually to the emergence of many ideas, many labs, and we are part of that policy and innovation. We ask also our colleagues in the college, CCIS college. Very many thanks to our Dean, Dr. Muhammad Shara, for his hard work with us and actually supporting us. The organizing committee led by Professor Mamdouh Al-Anazi, and the Media and Public Relations Center. They helped us a lot actually over the past few days. We gave them hard work. And also we thank all colleagues in PSU and anybody who participated with us. If we forgot somebody, then please excuse us for that. So thank you and welcome actually to the conference, and hopefully that you will enjoy every part of it, and hopefully will be now you will find a lot of this event is taken to announce that, of course, the Center of Excellence in Quantum and Intelligent Computing has been established at the beginning of this semester, or approved, and it's just active. And you will find the booklet actually while you move around. We will highlight it a lot in our research and papers. There are many nice topics within quantum computing in the conference and other things. So please look at it, and we look forward for collaboration. The major actually aspect of it that we rely on is the international collaboration. Another thing, as I mentioned at the beginning, this is an international conference, so need not be always hosted by PSU. We already received a request for the third version to be held in Kuwait. I think the NCA of Kuwait, National Security Agency of Kuwait. So we'll be very happy to do that. So it's proving actually, it is very focused actually, as you can see, as you will see, and it is not about just showing papers, something that really works actually in every detail. So welcome again, and hopefully that you will enjoy this occasion, and thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Muhammad, for giving us an insightful brief. Now let's welcome Dr. Saad Roueta back on stage to present a plaque of appreciation for conference chairs, acknowledging their outstanding contributions for this conference.
I will give one to Dr. Saad.
This is the token of appreciation from CSS to PSU management. Thanks a lot, Dr. Saad. Now, I would like you to please stay on the stage, Dr. Saad, please, sir, please. And now we would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Al Afandi, conference chair, to receive a shield from Dr. Saad. Now we would like to invite Dr. Muhammad Al-Shara on the stage to receive a plaque of appreciation for his endeavors support. Now we would like to invite Professor Mamdou Al-Anezi on the stage to receive a plaque of appreciation. And lastly, we would like to invite Conference General Chair, Professor Dr. Abdur Rahim, on the stage to receive a plaque of appreciation.
We'll end the keynote speakers, okay.
Okay, no, keynote. Yeah.
Keynote.
Jazakallah khair, Dr. Saad.
Introduce the keynote right away. Introduce the keynote right away.
Allow me to introduce next Professor Marcos Lopez, a quantum physicist with certifications from MIT in quantum computing and cryptography and finance and management from LCE. He has been a key figure in the intersection of quantum computing and blockchain. His pioneering work includes leading the implementation of the first end-to-end EVM quantum-resistant blockchain published in scientific reports. Currently serving as the head of quantum and blockchain at the Inter-American Development Bank, Professor Lopez has an extensive background as a professor and a lecturer at renowned institutions like Harvard Kennedy School. Additionally, he holds crucial roles as the CTO of the LAC chain, as well as advisor to Nilian, and a member of various committees, including the WEF Quantum Computing Committee. Please join me in welcoming Professor Marcus Lopez to the stage.
Hello, hello. 1, 2, 3. Hello, can you hear me? Yes? Okay. Good morning, everyone. Distinguished members of the government, distinguished colleagues, attendees. It is a privilege and a pleasure for me to join you today in this conference. This is my first time in Saudi Arabia. It won't be the last one. And I'm very happy to be able to share this research with you. I want to thank the university as well as Dr. Mohammed and Dr. Ahmed for having me here today. I expect to initiate as part of this trip a very fruitful collaboration on the topics of quantum and blockchain. And I really hope that part of the work that we've been doing in Latin America, the Caribbean, and the US, as I will talk a little bit about today, we can bring it to your country. When technologies really change, the future of people is when they are combined, because when you combine these emerging technologies, is that you get exponential impact. In my presentation, I'm going to talk about some pioneer work that we've done in the convergence between blockchain and quantum. We developed the first blockchain network that is resistant to attacks by quantum computers end-to-end. The publication was featured by Scientific Reports, that is a magazine by Nature and Springer. And I had the pleasure to collaborate in this paper with Dr. Salvador Venegas, who is also presenting tomorrow. He wasn't able to make it to Saudi this year, but he will be presenting tomorrow in a digital format from Mexico as well. As a matter of some context for this presentation, I want to share with you that I'm a quantum physicist. I studied in Europe and in the US, and then I developed my professional career in Latin America and the Caribbean. I've been working with the Inter-American Development Bank, as you see over there. That is the largest multilateral in Latin America and the Caribbean. And as part of this bank, we've been implementing these technologies in several countries in Latin America and the Caribbean, both quantum technologies and blockchain technologies. We also created the largest blockchain network in Latin America and the Caribbean, which is LACchain. I was the co-founder and the CTO. In this network, we gave service to governments, to private sector corporations, to financial institutions, to entrepreneurs, and they have been using blockchain technology in order to do a lot of projects, both with impact in the corporations and with impact in individuals. For this work, we collaborated with the Instituto Tecnológico de Monterrey from Mexico, and also from Quantinum. Quantinum is one of the largest companies developing cybersecurity solutions using quantum technologies. So what we realized in order to initiate this work 2 years ago is that we are entering a new digital age where blockchain technology is indeed going to be very important. We are going to have a lot of assets. We are going to have a lot of information that will rely in blockchain networks. So in order to make sure that these assets and this information are safe, it is very important that we make sure that these blockchain networks are resistant to attacks by quantum computers. So the slides that I prepared for today start with some vision about this future. It is more introduction oriented. And then after that, I will talk about the more technical details of the implementation. I know that there's different audiences here, so I didn't want to do only the technical presentation, so I'm starting with this more high-level introduction. So the first thing that I want to share is that we are starting a new digital age that some people are calling the Web3. And in order to understand what is this Web3, it is interesting to start by understanding what is the Web1. When the internet became a worldwide network of devices connected to each other, there was a first generation of applications and platforms that were accessible to individuals through home computers. In these applications, people could essentially read information on the internet, and this was called the static web. It started around the 1990s. After that, people started having personal smartphones. Smartphones were the interfaces that enable a new generation of the web, a web that became a social web where people read and also write information. People exchange data all the time, constantly. This started in the mid-2000s, in the first years of the 2000s. Now we are at the beginning of a new digital age. This digital age that is called by some people the Web3 is an age that is going to be characterized by the use of blockchain networks and also the use of digital wallets. Digital wallets are going to be the interfaces that we will use as individuals in order to interact with this new generation of digital applications and platforms. In this Web3, we are going to be able not only to read and write information, but also to own. We will own our assets, our identity, our data in these digital wallets that are going to be in our mobile phones. And this is the user-centric web or the tokenized web that is starting this year as a consequence of an acceleration that happened because of the pandemic. In terms of crypto assets, that is one kind of assets that live in these blockchain networks, we can see that today, according to the sources from crypto analysis and the World Bank, there's a movement of around $3 trillion every quarter in blockchain networks. That means that every quarter there's around $3 trillion that are transacted in blockchain networks in the world. We can see that extends from west to east, including the Middle East, where there's a lot of countries that are very open to the use of cryptocurrencies for different purposes. If we look at the type of cryptocurrencies that are most highly transacted, we see Ether, stablecoins, Bitcoin, or decentralized finance and other crypto assets. If we take a look only at Bitcoin, we see that after having reached their maximum market cap in May 2021 of $1.2 trillion, the current market cap of Bitcoin is a little bit less than $1 trillion. This is just one crypto asset that is so relevant in the financial transactions worldwide today, and we are actually right now going to reach probably a higher cap in the next year. But it's not only these cryptocurrencies what will populate the new generation of crypto assets. According to Citigroup, by 2030, there's going to be $5 trillion that are not cryptocurrencies that we are going to be having tokenized in blockchain networks. We are talking about non-financial corporate and quasi-sovereign debt, $1.9 trillion tokenized out of the 187 that are in the world. Real estate funds, almost 10% tokenized by 2030. Private equity and venture capital, 10% tokenized by 2030. And I can keep going with the securities and with trade finance. And this is only the beginning of a new generation of tokenized financial assets, according to Citigroup. There's even more ambitious predictions. This is from Boston Consulting Group, one of the most consulting firms with the highest reputation. Boston Consulting Group elevates the amount of tokenized assets by 2030 to somewhere between 16 trillion and 68 trillion. So they say that there can be even $68 trillion tokenized by 2030. This is a very important amount of money that is going to be in these networks. And again, this is why it is so important to make sure that these networks are secure, and by secure we mean quantum resistant. A little bit more information as part of this introduction of the new digital age that we are approaching is how I was talking before about how it is going to be the combination of both blockchain and digital wallets, what is going to characterize the new digital age. So what are these digital wallets that we are talking about? So these digital wallets are these mobile applications where we are going to have different type of digital assets. One family of these digital assets are precisely verifiable credentials. Credentials that are going to include government IDs, passports, health certificates, education certificates, enterprise certificates, transport credentials. Maybe next year when we are having this conference here or in the country that hosts it, these elements of acknowledgement are already also in a digital form, and we receive them in a digital wallet like this, and we can present them anywhere in the world, so they are verifiable. This is what is happening already around the world, and this is what I've had the privilege of implement a pioneer in Latin America and the Caribbean in several countries. With that, we will see also an initial generation of what are called utility tokens. Utility tokens are assets that represent certain kind of value. For example, loyalty tokens, carbon credits, and biodiversity tokens that are very related to the Sustainable Development Goals that all countries are pursuing these days. Digital coupons, corporate tokens. We are also going to see ownership tokens that represent different assets that we own and that now we can control and transfer from the wallet, including real estate, automobile, electronic appliances. These facilitate the real-time transfer of value between individuals in a cross-border way. And last but not least, the new generation of money. The new generation of money is going to include tokenized forms of central bank digital currencies, stable coins, cryptocurrencies, and also commercial money, commercial bank money that is called e-money. So now, with this introduction, trying to provide a little insight and vision about how the future of digital assets is going to look like, let's talk about what is the threat that is around the corner, because there is a big threat around the corner that is threatening all this new economy and all this new generation of data. That is precisely quantum computers. Because quantum computers are great for some things because they are more powerful, but also the downside is that they are also able to do things like breaking the cryptography that we use today for the internet and also for blockchain networks. As we see here in these two papers by the National Institute for Standards in Technology and by the National Security Agency of the United States that were published around 2015, 2016, these two papers warn about the danger that represents the possibility that quantum computers are going to be able to break all the public key cryptography that is widely used in the internet and in blockchain. Public key cryptography, as you may know, is basically the name that receives when you use something like a public and a private key combined, and you use that in order to generate digital signatures or in order to encrypt information. The thing is that both the internet and blockchain rely strongly on this type of cryptography, because every time that we send a message over the internet, we are encrypting this message with the public key of the recipient. So only the recipient can decrypt the message with their private key. And every time we sign a message on the internet, we are signing the message with our private key, so anyone can verify it using our public key. So this combination of a public key and a private key has to remain secure, to remain safe in order to protect the internet and the blockchain from being hacked, yes? So let's analyze a little bit how it affects specifically blockchain. And after that, I will talk about the solution that we developed. So in the first place, the first question that everyone asks themselves is, how does the fact that we will have quantum computers soon breaking the current cryptography that we use today, like elliptic curve cryptography, logarithmic discrete logarithms or RSA cryptography, how does it is affected by quantum computers in blockchain. So in the first case, everything related to the block generation, basically the consensus protocol in the blockchain that is implicit in the generation of blocks, this is not really affected because despite we can use Grover algorithm to generate blocks quadratically faster, we can also increase the difficulty of the blockchain quadratically, so we face that challenge. Actually, as you might know, in order to generate a block in blockchain, what you do is you get all the data from the transactions that you want to add to the blockchain. You also include the hash of the previous block, and you include a random part that is called a nonce. And with these three elements, you generate a hash with a hash function, and this hash is the one that you have to use your computational capacity in order to create. So basically, with Grover algorithm, you are able to test nonces quadratically faster, and therefore find the right hash and get the reward by generating the block. But again, just by increasing the difficulty of the blockchain, this is a challenge or a threat that is addressed. The second thing is, how does quantum computing threat the rewriting of history in blockchain? Blockchain is very important and very well known because the fact that it is a chronological chain. So every block is in a chronological order before the previous block, before the next block and after the previous block. And the way we organize blocks is precisely by assigning them a number and by having every block containing the hash of the previous block. And that is what it prevents the changing of information in previous blocks in the blockchain. Because in the blockchain, everyone has a copy of the entire blockchain. And if I change information, let's say 100 blocks ago, the hash of every block after is going to change, and therefore when I compare my version of the chain with everyone else, there's going to be a difference, and they are going to know that I modify my chain. The only way that I can modify a previous block in my chain and still not having anyone realizing that I changed the blockchain is by being able to modify the transaction and again generate the same hash for that block. In order to do that, I need to be able to do something called a second pre-image that is basically finding the same hash with a different type of data. That again, with quantum computers, would be something that we would have quadratic advantage with Grover's algorithm. But quadratic advantage here is not enough because it is a very complex problem, and it would still take thousands of years in order to be able to do something like that if the hash function is reliable. So not really a concern. Now, let's talk a little bit about privacy. Some people use blockchain networks in order to store information that is hashed. Let's say that I have some data, I have some documents, I have some information, and I hash that information and I put it in the blockchain. Can I use a quantum computer in order to revert that hash and get the information? The answer again is no, because here we have a finite number of elements in the output, but we have an infinite number of elements in the input. So in order to guess what is the input that gave us a specific output, we need to be able to do a pre-image and get a long list of elements, which is, as I said, infinite. And we will need to guess from this long list of elements, which is the one that precisely was used for that output. So this is not a threat either. However, there are two threats. The first threat is related to the communication between nodes. As I said before, all the communication over the internet, including the communication between nodes, is mediated by the fact that there's this cryptography that encrypts the information between nodes. So when I send information to some other node, or from an application like a wallet to a node, that information is encrypted and is also signed. If I have a quantum computer that can hack the private keys that encrypt and sign that information, then I can impersonate the message, or I can destroy the message, or I can read the message when I should not have access to it. So what are the solutions for this? There's a first solution that is related to building a quantum internet. A quantum internet is known as a new telecom infrastructure that uses quantum key distribution for all devices to encrypt the channels using symmetric encryption. So basically, every two devices that are communicating to each other are generating symmetric keys every single time. The reason why they can do that at distance is because they are using quantum procedures, like, for example, polarized photons using the BB84 QKD protocol. So you can distribute symmetric keys in a way that they are not being, they cannot be eavesdropped or they cannot be discovered by an eavesdropper. And in that case, then you can encrypt the messages in the blockchain with that symmetric key pair. The problem is that in order to have a quantum internet, you need to have a quantum telecommunications network. So you basically need to replace the entire telecom network by a new telecom network that has this type of software, this type of hardware. So we need to replace hardware. That is something that is being already done in some places. For example, China is the leading country in this development. Other regions like the European Union or the US are also catching up, but still it is early and it is not ready for a large implementation of a blockchain network. So the short-term implementation here is actually replacing the vulnerable algorithms that are used today to generate these keys in blockchain and in the internet by some algorithms, still public key algorithms or asymmetric algorithms that are more reliable, that are based on mathematical problems that quantum computers cannot solve efficiently. So unlike factoring implied numbers or unlike finding elliptic curves, the solution is using post-quantum cryptography like hash-based signatures or lattice-based signatures. NIST published last year the first 4 quantum-resistant cryptographic algorithms that are reliable enough in order to be used to replace current cryptographic public key algorithms. The last thing that is also important is the fact that quantum computers can not only break, communications, but they can also be used to steal assets. Because my assets in the blockchain are protected by the private key that I have that is linked to those assets. If someone discovers my private key because I expose my public key, then that someone will be able to steal my assets. We were talking about trillions of dollars in blockchain networks. If a quantum computer can steal the private keys associated to those trillions of dollars, then the owner of the quantum computer is going to be able to steal trillions of dollars in blockchain assets. Yes? What is the solution here? Very similar to the previous one. We cannot upgrade infrastructure to post-quantum infrastructure, to post-quantum quantum key distribution because it is not really from a telecom network. Also, the fact that we upgrade the entire blockchain to just replace the native blockchain signature algorithms is also very hard because some of these blockchains are ongoing. So the solution is complementing the current cryptographic algorithms using blockchain with post-quantum algorithms. Again, not replacing them, but complementing them. And this is precisely what we did in our implementation and what we did in our paper. Essentially, our paper consisted in 4 things. Our work, actually, that then led to the paper. The first thing that we did was generating quantum entropy. We connected to a physical hardware that generates quantum entropy from quantum entanglement that was provided by Quantinum. Then we used that in order to generate post-quantum key pairs using the algorithm Falcon 512. So with that, we were able to encrypt the communication between nodes and devices using quantum-resistant cryptography. After that, we also complemented the current blockchain signatures with post-quantum signatures. So now assets in blockchain are protected with post-quantum signatures. And finally, we developed 3 solutions to verify post-quantum signatures in blockchain. Some of them are more scalable, some of them are less scalable, and we discussed that in the paper. Here I summarize what I just explained about the benefits of this implementation. We did this in a blockchain network that is CVN compatible. That means that it is compatible with all the networks that are based on the Ethereum protocol. The network specifically is called LACchain. That is the one that we developed for Latin America and the Caribbean. Regarding the quantum entropy, we connected our solution to quantum origin, that is the quantum hardware by Quantinum that allows to generate this entropy. And with that, every user using a node was able to connect and get the different entropy requests in order to generate the keys. After that, for the implementation of post-quantum signatures and post-quantum encryption, we evaluated two different algorithms, Falcon and Crystal Dilithium. Falcon is hash-based, Crystal Dilithium is lattice-based. In our case, as we are using a blockchain where you store a lot of information, including some public keys, it is important to minimize the data that you need to store. So this is why we went to go with Falcon, because it was the most efficient one for us. Then, regarding the connection between nodes, we generated something that we call the post-quantum X509 certificates. So we added a post-quantum key into the X509 certificates that allow them to establish secure TLS channels. We also compare these post-quantum TLS channels versus the classical channels to see if there was a relevant overhead. But we realized that the overhead in the communication was very minimum. So making the communication between nodes and devices quantum resistant was wasn't something that was non-feasible. It was very feasible. Then we analyzed three alternatives to see how we verify the signatures in the transactions. So as now we are signing all the assets with post-quantum signatures, how do we verify those post-quantum signatures? We did three implementations. We used pure solidity code, that is the natural language used by Ethereum, smart contracts. The problem with this is that the smart contracts were so heavy that they could not be processed by the network. The second solution we explored was modifying the protocol of the Ethereum network itself, and that was efficient, but that needs to be accepted by the entire community, so it was not scalable. And then we did something in between, that is, we modified not the entire Ethereum protocol, but just a little thing in the blockchain nodes, so that allow us to have a smart contract that is non-native, but that is deployable in the network, and that allow to verify post-quantum signatures. Here we are showing what was the gas consumption. The gas is the measure of the resources that you use in the blockchain. So just for you to have an idea, in one block in the Ethereum network, you can fit 10 million units of gas, and this solution was demanding 300 units of gas. So it was very unfeasible, the first one. But with the third one, with this modification of the blockchain node, we were able to run this verification of post-quantum signatures, and we were able to see that it is feasible, and it is not very different from the classical one. We see up there what's the overhead, and we actually here average the overhead, and we see that the overhead is just around a 30% in CPU consumption when you run the post-quantum transactions or the non-post-quantum transactions. So it was feasible to basically add a post-quantum layer in the blockchain in order to make sure that we secure these $1 trillion in tokenized assets. So with that, I finished my presentation. I want to thank you again for your interest and your attention. And I would love to take any questions if there are. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for a very interesting presentation and a very deep one. I just have a few questions regarding the implementation. First of all, the quantum source where you generate the entropy. What is the cost? And also, is it a simulator or hardware or for real life situations if I wanted to? The other one is algorithm. You are generating keys, but the blockchain cryptographic algorithms will remain as, for example, RSA or other algorithms will remain the same, or are you going to also impose things like that? Okay.
Yes, thanks, Dr. Mohammed. Great questions. So regarding the first question, we use the hardware of one of our partners that is called Quantinum. They make physical devices that use quantum entanglement in order to generate quantum entropy. So back when we did the project, one of these devices had a cost of around $150,000. So if you wanted to buy one, you could buy it for that amount. The problem is that obviously when you are running blockchain nodes, you usually do it in the cloud. So you need devices that generate quantum entropy in the cloud. So right now, they are implementing the first solutions in the cloud, and instead of paying for the full device, you pay for some quantum entropy as a service. We are starting to test that solution now in order to implement that in the cloud in production. So I will let you know when I figure what is going to be the cost there. Yes, the second question regarding the algorithm, it is also a very important one, because we evaluated, we considered replacing the native cryptographic algorithm of blockchain. It is usually elliptic curve. Like most of blockchains don't use RSA or logarithm algorithms. They use elliptic curves, both Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the most known ones. So the problem is that you could replace the elliptic curve and just create a new blockchain that has post-quantum cryptography native in the blockchain. But as there's already so much value stored in current blockchain networks, it would not solve the problem of current blockchain networks. And it looks like it is the current blockchain networks, the ones that are going to continue to be well positioned. It is not that there's going to be like a new generation of blockchain networks that are going to replace fully the current ones. So considering that, the easiest approach is, instead of replacing the native cryptography, just complementing it. So when I send a transaction to the network, I sign it with the native algorithm that is an elliptic curve signature, but I also add a post-quantum signature. So if someone wants to break my cryptography and steal my asset, they are going to have my elliptic curve private key, but also my post-quantum private key. And that's why we figured that we could protect the blockchain without too much modification. That was the most optimal way.
Okay. Very well. Very nice. Excellent.
Well, if there are no more questions, I just want to thank you again. Again, as I said, we are working on this type of projects with both public and private sector. So in addition to the research collaborations that we will initiate, I would also like to invite anyone that is exploring to implement this on an enterprise perspective, that I would love to talk, and I will be available for it. Thank you so much.
Great thanks to Professor Lopez for this amazing session. Thank you so much. Before we delve into our other sessions, we would like to take a 10-minute coffee break. So please do grab your favorite brew and network, and we'll see you here shortly in 10 minutes. Thank you. session host, Dr. Mayed Ailaj, the Director of Engineering and Computer Science Program Accreditation at the National Center of Academic Accreditation and Evaluation, as well as the Assistant Professor at Princess Noura bint Abdulrahman University. Dr. Noura will share insights on the NCAA key learning outcomes for cybersecurity program readiness. Without further ado, let's give a warm welcome to Dr. Mayed Ailaj.
It's on. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good morning. How are you? This is Dr. May Ailaj. I am the Director of Engineering and Computer Science Programs Accreditation in NCAA ETech. I'm here today to present to you an overview of the specialized academic standards for cybersecurity programs as part of the readiness program, which is one of the initiatives started by Education and Training Evaluation Commission. So our agenda for today, I will talk a little bit about ETech, and then we'll dive into the readiness program, the initiative, and then we will zoom into the readiness program for the computing disciplines. And then after that, we'll go further into the readiness program for cybersecurity programs. And then we'll give some statistics about the readiness program. So who are we? We are the Education and Training Evaluation Commission. We are the national body responsible for assessment, evaluation, and accreditation for education and training sectors in Saudi Arabia. We work with all relevant national entities to ensure quality assurance and quality control in the education sector in Saudi Arabia. So there are 5 centers under the Education and Training Evaluation Commission. First, it's the National Center for Assessment. I could say it's easily the most famous one, where the standardized tests are given to students, the SAT and the GAT, among other standardized tests. And then we have the National Center for School Evaluation and Excellence. It's also called Tamayuz. It's responsible for evaluation and assessment of the K-12 education. And then there is us, the National Center for Academic Accreditation and Evaluation. We're responsible for evaluating, assessing, and accrediting the higher education. Then there is the National Center for Training, Assessment, and Accreditation, MASAR for short. It's responsible for evaluating and accrediting the training sectors. Finally, there is a 5th center that emerged recently, which is the National Center for Evaluation and Military Academic Accreditation, DERA for short. It's responsible for accrediting and evaluating the military education. This is our reference model and the pillars on which the ETech stand on: quality assurance, quality control, and continuous development and improvement. These are our beneficiaries, the professionals, the students, faculty members. So we ensure quality assurance by setting the academic standards to ensure quality assurance and quality control. And then we control the quality by implementing these standards and ensuring that educational sectors are applying these standards. Finally, of course, we do continuous development and improvement. We continuously try to improve these standards to be aligned with the international standards. The readiness program that we'll be talking about today is one of the initiatives that lie under the continuous development and improvement of ETech. So what is the readiness program? The readiness program is an initiative that started by the National Center of Academic Accreditation and Evaluation. It aims at bridging the gap between higher education graduates and the labor market, while ensuring that students have the proper knowledge unit recognized by national and international entities, and at the same time be ready for the labor market without further training after a bachelor degree. So the several advantages or objectives of this initiative is to improve the outcomes of higher education, to improve the learning outcomes and align them with the labor market, and to identify the areas that need further improvement in the academic programs. The two main output of the readiness programs, the first one is a framework that contains the minimum knowledge units. By knowledge units, we mean the units responsible for ensuring that the graduates have the proper knowledge, skills, and values that are internationally recognized and accepted, and also bridging the gap between the academic education and the labor market needs. So we have a framework for several disciplines. The goal is to have a framework for all disciplines categorized under the Saudi national classification. The second output or the second outcome of the readiness program lies under quality control, which means that we want to ensure that the programs have followed the frameworks in order to ensure that the students have covered all the knowledge units included in this framework. So basically, this framework help the academic programs in building their curriculums in a way that cover all the knowledge units in the framework. Please mind that the knowledge units are the minimum knowledge units required. So this gives the flexibility for the programs to add any electives that ensures its identity and its goals and objectives. And this also to ensure that not all programs are identical of each other. They will be recognized according to their goal, their identity of the program. Any questions so far? Please interrupt me at any time. Okay. So again, this is the cornerstones of the readiness program. So the quality assurance, the framework that I was talking about that covers the knowledge units lies under the quality assurance. And then the quality control is the second output, which means that the programs, after applying the framework, students will take standardized tests or assessment tests, what we call exit exams, to evaluate the performance of the program in applying those knowledge units. It's not, the objective of it is not to evaluate the students per se, but to evaluate the performance of the program in covering all those knowledge units listed in the framework. The catalyst for this initiative is that the University Affairs Council approved these standardized tests, and the results are included as indicator to measure program quality and accreditation. These are some of the University Affairs Council decrees regarding the accreditation and evaluation of outcomes, and that the University Council sets the details criteria for approving graduate and postgraduate programs, and also samples of graduates in all majors are to be assessed by those standardized tests. So what is the work plan for the readiness program? Again, I would like to emphasize that the first stage was developing this learning outcome framework, which I will explain in a few moments. And then motivating the universities to enhance their curriculums based on this framework. So this framework doesn't list the curriculums. However, it lists the knowledge units required by each discipline or each program to cover in their curriculums. Yes, that's what I'll be talking about briefly. We adopted several benchmarks. We did an intensive benchmark studies of international entities and regulatory bodies like ACM, ABIT, CL Accord, Washington Accord. I will talk about this in a few minutes. And then the third stage to ensure the quality control, standardized tests will be done to students of those programs to ensure that those programs have covered all the knowledge units. I will dive now more deeply onto the readiness program of the computing disciplines. So again, the objective is to build a national knowledge framework that will help the Saudi universities and the programs in particular, the computing programs in particular, in building their curriculum in line with the goals and orientations of the programs itself, ensuring that the students obtain the required knowledge, skills, and values internationally recognized in the computing field, while at the same time confirm that the acquired knowledge and competencies are aligned with the labor market. So students after graduating, they won't need to take any further training. Go ahead, please. Yes.
Yes, I see artificial intelligence in the group because
Right.
we are trying to establish an artificial intelligence BS here. I have been told that neither ACM IEEE nor the NCAA are defining an artificial intelligence. So is it official now? There is a BS?
It is official, and we have a framework that has been published for the learning outcomes of the artificial intelligence.
That is news for our chairs, I think, if they are there. It's okay. Because they have been debating this, and there is no standard. This is good news for us.
Yes,
okay.
yes, yes. And in fact, Doctor, there is 7 frameworks at the moment that lies under the computing disciplines, which are the computer engineering, computer science, information technology, information systems, cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and software engineering. They all have frameworks, separate frameworks, and they are published. Okay, so back to your question, Doctor, about the benchmarks that has been used in our study of the computing learning outcomes framework. So we adopted several international benchmarks. First of all, the ACM, Association of Computing Machinery, 2020, and the for the cybersecurity, the ACM 2017, and then the Accreditation Board for Engineering and Technology, ABIT, SFIA, Skills Framework for the Information Age, and also we have surveyed 10 of the 100 top universities according to Shanghai ranking, the CL Accord graduate attributes, and then the Gartner report, Top Technology Trends. For the national benchmarks, we always also kept in mind the skills and knowledge and values accepted by the national qualification framework. Also the market needs, the technology trends, and national priorities of the private and public sectors, like the Ministry of Communication and Information Technology, excuse me, SADAYA, SITE, CIRAR by STC, and of course our partner, National Cybersecurity Authority. This is the readiness program phase 1. Phase 1 included the computing discipline and the business administration discipline. In this slide, I'm just including the computing discipline. So there are seven specializations, as I just mentioned a while ago, and then there are 6 sectoral partners, employers, and then 8 universities. So we have, this is the methodology that we used in implementing the, defining the frameworks. So at first, we defined the sectoral partners or the employers from the private and public sectors that will help us in gaining perspective of the skills and the competencies that are needed by the computer science graduates. So we asked them to give us the knowledge units that are required for the cybersecurity or any computing graduate to be able ready for the job market. And then we have another team, which is the scientific team, which is composed from top universities in Saudi Arabia. They will take the insight from the sectoral or the employers, and they will align it with the frameworks of the international bodies, the regulatory bodies like ACM and ABIT. And we'll find a common ground between the two, so that we ensure that the student is not just ready for the labor market, but also acquire the knowledge units recognized internationally in the international top universities. So basically this slide just include the sectoral partners that we were working with and the universities from which the scientific team were recruited. One might ask, where did we get the specializations from, and how did we decide which are the disciplines that are needed, which are the disciplines that we need to initiate frameworks for? First of all, we surveyed all the programs that are available in Saudi Arabia, and they have the top priority to build frameworks for. And then we referred to the Saudi standard classification of educational levels and specializations. So under the standard classification framework, there is the broad field, which is information and communication technologies, which lists all the specializations that we build frameworks for. And these are the related sector, and then we defined or selected the related sectors in Saudi Arabia, whether from the private sector and the public sector, in order to take their input about the skills and the competencies needed in the job market. This is the learning outcome structures that we used in our frameworks. So we basically start by defining the PLOs for each specialization, and then under the program learning outcomes, we specify the general knowledge units, that the minimum knowledge units that I was referring to a while ago. And then under each general knowledge unit, there is the specialized knowledge units, and then we go further to learning outcomes for each of these specialized knowledge units. Okay, so this is the meat, readiness program for cybersecurity. So again, the same goal, the standards contribute to setting the minimum requirements for cybersecurity undergraduate programs. assuring the academic quality of cybersecurity programs, and the ability to produce highly qualified professionals in the field of cybersecurity. Okay, the scope and uses. At this stage of the initiative, we only cover the undergraduate programs. So we're covering the bachelor degree programs in cybersecurity. So the document can be used by the cybersecurity programs in Saudi Arabia to help them design their curriculum. Okay, so the methodology again is to describe minimum knowledge units and learning outcomes in the field of cybersecurity. Educational, again, to ensure that the programs, academic programs, or the cybersecurity programs in Saudi Arabia are not identical. We give the capacity for these programs to include any electives that aligns with the program identity and objectives. Please mind that a KU is not necessarily a credit course. A knowledge unit may be covered by 1 or more credit hours, and a credit course may cover 1 or more KUs partially or completely. And the KUs are derived, as I mentioned, from analyzing 10 of the top 100 universities ranked by Shanghai ranking. So the document, we're not the only entity who developed this framework solely. We have several partners, including the National Cybersecurity Authority. So we made sure that the framework for the cybersecurity of the NCAA is aligned with the cybersecurity education produced by the National Cybersecurity Authority in Saudi Arabia. So the methodology for defining the knowledge units of the cybersecurity program is, again, the scientific team define the knowledge units, skills, and values required by cybersecurity program graduates according to international and national trends and benchmarks. The benchmarks, as I said, includes ACM, ABIT, SFIA, and highly ranked universities, the National Qualification Framework, and the Saudi Cybersecurity Higher Education Framework. And then this list is presented to the sectoral partner from the private and public sectors or the employers to rank the importance of these knowledge units, their importance to the sector itself. And then the scientific team meets with the sectoral partner team to finalize the list of knowledge units. And then the scientific team finally define the learning outcome of each of these knowledge units agreed upon with the sectoral partner. This is the list of the universities in which we surveyed to see the knowledge units covered by their curriculums. So what we do, in addition to surveying the regulatory bodies like ACM, ABIT, and SFIA, is that we take 10 of the top 100 universities and we check each specialized knowledge unit that was agreed upon by the scientific team and the sectoral partner team to see if they are covered by the curriculums of these top universities. For example, let's see the cybersecurity foundations. You can see, is there a laser here? Okay. So we see the count here, cybersecurity foundation. The count is 10, meaning that all 10 universities cover cybersecurity foundations in their curriculum. Basic cryptography is covered by 7 of those universities, so on and so forth. Finally, we have the JKUs, the General Knowledge Units, which is the umbrella of the specialized knowledge units of the NCAA cybersecurity framework. Allow me to read them quickly. So we have the Cybersecurity Foundation, data security, software security, component security, network security, system security, human security, organization security. And under each of these general knowledge units, we have several specialized knowledge units. Okay, after defining the general knowledge units and the specialized knowledge unit, we provide a description of the specialized knowledge unit, and we include the topics that can be included under the specialized knowledge units. For example, we have the specialized knowledge unit 1.1, cybersecurity foundations. We have these topics in the, in the first row. And then we have the learning outcomes that should be covered by the graduates that are aligned with these topics. And then we align each of these learning outcomes with the PLOs defined in the top of the framework. So readiness program in numbers. So the learning outcomes framework, phase 1, we have 14 participating universities, the universities from which the scientific team were recruited. We have 13 internal workshops, meaning the workshops to facilitate the work. And then we have 8 workshops between the scientific team and the sectoral team. Remember, I told you that there are some workshops between the scientific team and sectoral team to decide on the knowledge units that are both accepted by the international community and by the workforce. And then we have over 71 total workshop participants. We have 10 scientific teams, 4 sectoral teams, 13 specializations, of course 13 including the business administration team, because we have 13 specialization phase 1, 7 of them is for the computing. And then 13 sectoral partners. The phase 2, which is the stage 2 of the readiness program is the standardized tests, the exit exams that are done in the universities and the academic programs to ensure that the programs cover the knowledge units specified in the frameworks. These tests in phase 1 of the 13 disciplines, there were 19 templates, over 3,000 questions. The test is taken from a bank of questions that is developed by participants. Writers of the questions, which are 82 writers of the questions. We have 4 supervisors and again 13 specializations. Anyways, that was the last slide. It's not. It's the last slide? Okay, but there is the thank you slide though.
Soon the technology will know everything.
I know.
They know they are.
Okay, so thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Thank
Any
you.
questions? Please.
It's okay. Yes, may I come in again, because I have been familiar with this field for a long time now, in case we started with you since early days. But lately we have been doing the accreditation or cybersecurity master. And we noticed that actually regarding the knowledge units, they are very detailed, and it seems that they have been taken from certification courses rather than professional courses, rather than academic courses. And then the number of learning outcomes for each unit is, in many cases, we need to put more than knowledge unit in one course. So sometimes we end up with 12. If we take it literally, 15 learning outcomes. And also the terminology, sometimes, of course, in NCAAA, naturally, in the early days when we do our work, there is flexibility. NCM, for example, we know that the knowledge unit is not compulsory to be taken full. And it's a guideline, and we can divide it between different courses. But our experience and the response we got is that they wanted the knowledge units actually to be literally in the course and the learning outcomes. So this is my advice, actually. Can you revise your process for that?
Can we?
Can you revise your process for that? The knowledge units specifically. They should be flexible. You don't have to impose something literally, because we'll end up with very large courses.
Right,
It seems that actually the knowledge units have not been carefully prepared. This is why, or prepared by professionals rather than academics.
Thank you for your comment, of course. As I mentioned, it's prepared by both scientific team, which are recruited from from universities, national universities, as well as the input of the professionals in the private and public sectors. So the framework itself is prepared by scientific teams, and in order to prepare it, they used the top 10 universities, academic universities in the academia, to make sure that these knowledge units are covered. And the knowledge units that they adopted at the end, they made sure that they are covered by the 10 universities that I included. So these knowledge units are available in the curriculums of those universities. Of course, we didn't define any electives. So as I said, to ensure the variance between different cybersecurity programs. But again, there is not a complete work at the end, and this is the first version of the framework. There will be continuous improvement. We will continue to ask the universities and the programs for their input to improve the quality of the framework.
Assalamu alaikum wa
Alaikum
rahmatullah.
assalam wa rahmatullah.
Shukran laki, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I like the way, I like the methodology. We've worked on it years ago, but we were doing something like that.
Right.
I'm a lecturer, I'm a doctor. My friend is a doctor teaching the same course. He put some knowledge unit and learning outcomes, and I do something else. I don't know how it works. That's what confused me, because we did it in our university. I see the files all, it's completely different applications.
The files of?
I see the files of the course
Of the
and
course.
different forms. I did one form, he did another form, and different learning comes and different knowledge unit.
You mean in the same university?
Yes.
Oh. Okay, that.
This is a big problem.
Yes, exactly. But this is where the framework come in handy, because
This is going to be a standard for all university.
yes. it
So
will
if we want to initiate a new program in cybersecurity,
right.
I have to follow this.
Right.
No something done by university or something.
It will be as a guideline. So
Okay,
again,
that's-
it doesn't define the courses or the credit hours of each course. It just defines the knowledge units. Again, this is just the minimum knowledge units to ensure that the student doesn't miss any of the compulsory knowledge units that are required by the cybersecurity field.
Yeah, great. What we get those documents, what you were talking about,
Right.
but empty. We had to fill it. I don't know why. It's empty. We have to list the knowledge unit. We have to list the outlearn income, and etc. Other process going on. But if you do have this one as a standard, and
Yes.
then each one, each major, each
Yes.
university, each college, each department follow these standards,
Yes.
it will be standard for all Saudis.
Right, it will. Again, to ensure that all graduates across Saudi Arabia, they have cover the required knowledge units in the field. Now, some universities and some academic...
Did you apply it, or you gonna apply it?
Yes, yes. It is published, and we asked the universities for their feedback on these frameworks before publishing them. Now, what I was going to say is that to ensure that the programs, what I was going to say, I forgot. Okay, anyways, to ensure that all programs have the minimum knowledge units of the cybersecurity discipline, and at the same time give the capacity. Now, some universities are more mature than others. Of course, and you might see that the curriculums of, let's say, Prince Sultan University or some other major universities have already the knowledge units required by the Cybersecurity Foundation, and you will not see any gap between the framework and their curriculums. However, we have to put in mind the developing universities and the developing programs that might not have the luxury of knowing the knowledge units or having the exposure to the international knowledge units accepted and recognized internationally. So this framework will standardize the curriculum, not the curriculum, the knowledge units across all cybersecurity programs. Thank you very much. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. Thank you for your listening.
Thank you so much, Dr. May, for this insightful session. Now, let me introduce Professor Mohammed Hamouda, the Saudi Aramco Chair of Cybersecurity at King Fahd University of Petroleum and Minerals, as well as the founder and co-editor-in-chief of the AMC Journal of Distributed Ledger Technology, Research and Practice. As leading expert today, he will share his insight on zero trust and IoT security. Please join me in welcoming Professor Mohammed Hamouda on the stage.
You can use this one.
Okay. Is this touch screen or?
Yeah, touch screen.
Okay. I'll use the mouse. Don't worry. Right. Assalamu alaikum. Good morning, everyone. I hope you can all hear me. So my name is Mohammed Hammoudi, and today I'll be talking to you about zero trust and IoT security with specific applications to critical national infrastructures. So the key point I want to make in this presentation is the unique marriage between different emerging technologies, cybersecurity, AI, digital twins, and ultra connectivity. So in my presentation, I'll just say a few words about who I am and a bit about my backgrounds. And as usual with all emerging technologies, there are a lot of misconceptions being passed around. So rather than talking about what these technologies are, I usually prefer to talk about what they're not and set some of these misconceptions straight before we proceed into the presentation. So I want to talk about what zero trust is and is not, and what digital twins are and are not. And then I'll talk about how we can integrate these technologies together in order to achieve zero trust security. Of course, each one of these terminologies is a big word, and we can talk all day about each one of them. So I'll try to be as brief as possible, and hopefully these gaps in my presentation will intrigue you and motivate you to read more about these very important topics. And when I say important, these are becoming buzzwords, and it's not a surprise, because if you look at market research reports like by Gartner, you see that these technologies are among the top 10 trending technologies. So I noticed that Ahmed has put my full biography in the program, so I don't need to talk about myself a lot, other than just saying I'm the Saudi Aramco Cybersecurity Chair Professor at King Fahd University of Petroleums and Minerals. And I'm also the founder and editor-in-chief of ACM Journal on Distributed Ledger Technologies. So I do a lot, my background being who I am now in my current job involves working in different domains, and that includes also quantum computing and artificial intelligence. So what I want to start by talking about what zero trust is not and what it is, because as a buzzword, as an emerging technologies, what happened, the first thing that happened in the industry is that companies, they went about and they started rebranding all of their security products into zero trust products. In reality, if you go and examine these products, you'll find that they are the old thing that we're used to, and they're nothing but just marketing jargon. So, but before we talk about zero trust and talk about cybersecurity, we need to think about what trust is. So one way to see if someone understands zero trust is to analyze how they talk about the word trust. And so if any expert try to get you to a trusted state, then they don't know or they don't understand zero trust. Okay, because zero trust, the point of zero trust is not to make networks or clouds or endpoints more secure or trusted. It's totally the opposite. Is to make them, is to remove trust from your vocabulary altogether. So, so for those trying to move to zero trust environment, the first step is to eliminate the word trust from your vocabulary, from your dictionary, and then you need to start thinking about trust as a binary state. It's either on or off, 0 or 1, trusted or untrusted, okay? And ideally what we want to do is we want to, by default, untrust everybody, because in traditional computing, we assume trust by default, and then we try to prove it otherwise. In zero trust, we assume that every user, every entity, every asset, every process, every machine, every application is untrusted, and we need to perform continuous verification and authentication of such devices. So how do we establish trust? What's the difference between trust and confidence? As I said, trust is binary. I either trust you or I don't trust you. Whereas confidence, there is multiple levels in confidence. So we can go and, as with everything else, we can learn a bit from nature. So if you like cats, like I recently started doing so because my daughters, they like cats, and they like dinosaurs as well, so I have to learn a lot about different dinosaurs. So we can learn from cats, from their posture, we can read their level of confidence or trust in us as human beings. And in this figure, we can see the different postures that reflect the level of trust a cat puts in a human being. But I want to think about it from the different angle. How did the cat build trust in you as a human being? Is it because you fed them before? Is it because you're being like a quiet, you're approaching them in a very nice, swift way? Or is it because the way you smell, your biological metrics? And all of these, they can be translated into the computer science. So if the cats, they will build a profile. It's not that from the first day they will trust you. They will look at, oh, this person has fed me before. He was very nice. He was playing with me before. So they will try to trust you more and more. So the same thing we try to build in computer science. We try to learn from the history of a device or an asset or a user in the network to establish a certain level of confidence in those users. So the first thing about zero trust, it's a fairly new technology or concept, let's be accurate. So it was coined in 2010 by John Kinderberg, who was working at that time as principal analyst at Forrester Research. And as you know, Forrester Research is not a technology company, it's a market research company. And John was, until that time, he was a market researcher. Of course, John is brilliant in technology, he has excellent understanding. But zero trust is it's not just technology, it's about the process, it's about the mindset as well, how you approach security. It's about using current technologies to enforce the idea that nothing and no one, internal or external, has access until they have proven that they should be trusted. And the main motivation behind zero trust, of course, it's a long history, but the main motivation behind zero trust is to protect against insider attacks. So if we look at history, we'll see that from all the way from 1972 up to today, the overall number of internal attack actors and the external attack actors is almost equal. So half of the attacks, they are originated by people who are already on your networks, authenticated on your networks, trusted on your networks, okay? So this is very important because computer systems are designed to mitigate threats that come from the outside to inside, not the other way around, not to protect from the inside, okay? So if we look at the history of the networks and computer systems, they were designed a long time ago, and they were designed as isolated systems. Okay, so if we take the analogy, which I often use, the castle, you can see there is a number of security mechanisms there to protect the castle and the people inside the castle. There is the moat, there is the watchtowers, there is the high hard walls, there is the limited entry points in the castle, as well as there is guards who perform guards or checkpoints at these castles. Okay. However, there's two problems with this approach. The first one is that anyone inside the castle is assumed to be trusted, but that's not always the case. You know that you always have somebody that can perform malicious actions, either accidentally, he could perform something really accidentally, or it could be malicious. Someone will pay them, somebody will blackmail them, and so on. The other problem is that these security solutions, they were designed long time ago in the dark ages, and we know that the castle itself, the computer networks or systems we're trying to protect now, they do not exist in isolation as they once did. So now every system is connected to the internet, and this is the problem now, the increased connectivity. We're connecting objects that now they are posing not security and privacy problems, they are posing safety problems. Okay, if somebody can go and cut play with a certain pressure valve in a factory, he could cause fire, explosion. So that's why we need to be more concerned. So the key question is, how do we secure ourselves in this new model of ultra connectivity where your assets are distributed across the world? Okay, so in this new world, the new firewall that the old firewall that we know and use today doesn't work. Obviously, the perimeter security model doesn't work. So that's why we need to bring the firewalls and the security closer to the assets that we want to protect. And there is a lot of drive behind zero trust security, and this is just the last two recent calls to action by the US presidents. They signed many executive orders back since 2014. From Obama, he signed the first executive order to force all US government departments to adopt zero trust. And a lot of the other governments, they are following their tracks to adopt zero trust security. So what is zero trust? So zero trust means it has 5 key tenets. The first one is never trust, always verify. So you need to authenticate and authorize continuously, and you need to always assume a breach and operate accordingly. The second one is the microsegmentation, where we want to prevent lateral movement and we want to isolate sensitive assets. We want to put them separately. And there is also the least privilege access, which is very important and very simple as well. We want to restrict users and systems to access the to the minimum access necessary to perform their jobs, and we need to regularly review these access rights and update them. Continuous monitoring. We need to monitor the network activity in real time and take rapid actions. Of course, AI plays a key role in that. And finally, the last one is the multi-factor authentication, which is being extensively adopted for access control and verification. So I'll elaborate more about some of these points, but before, let's talk about digital twins and why we want to use digital twins. So digital twins, they empower organizations to take targeted action to reduce the likelihood and impact of any cyber incident, while at the same time staying one step ahead of attackers, and I'll explain to you how. So digital twins is another very important, and it was one of the top 3 trending technologies by recent Gartner reports. And why you should care about them? Because it is anticipated that within this decade, humans, each person of us will have a digital twin. And I personally believe that our mobile phones are our digital twins. They know what we like, they know where we've been, they know what we're looking at, they know what we're saying, they're listening to us, and so on. Okay? So you'd expect, and the marketing companies, they're using that information and that knowledge to sell us or to promote relevant products to us. And it's being adopted everywhere. There is even initiatives to build a digital twin for Earth. And one of the biggest adopters of digital twins historically is the gas and oil sector, in the military, and in the healthcare. So we can see in this graph that the adoption and the development of digital twins over the years is growing, and it's intensifying in the past 10 years. So again, what a digital twin is not. But when we talk about digital twin, the first thing that comes to mind is that you have a physical object and you have a virtual replica of that object. Okay? So that point we all agree on. But we can classify digital twins based on the level of data integration, and that's very important because a lot of people, they talk about digital twins, but if you go back to what they're talking about, it's not really a digital twin. It's often a simulation or a digital model. So when we talk about digital twins, where we have the data flow between the physical and the virtual copy manually in both directions, this is not a digital twin. This is a digital model, okay? So if we have the data flow in one direction automatic and in the other direction as a manual, then this is a digital shadow, not a digital twin. But when you have data flowing in both directions automatically and synchronously, this means that this is a digital twin. Okay, so that's extremely important because, again, a lot of people, they misdefine or interpret what a digital twin is. So now what I want to do is to talk a little bit about how digital twins can help us in cybersecurity and in the implementation of zero trust security. So we all know that the field of cybersecurity has experienced fundamental changes over the past few years, and we need to come up with new ways to defend against emerging attacks and to deal with the ever-expanding threat landscape. So in this slide, again, I can talk all day about it, but what I'll do is I'll give you some task to do at home, where I want you to map the benefits of digital twins that I'm displaying on this slide to the key principles of the key tenets of zero trust security. But to help you do that, I'll only do one example for you here, which is the first one: improve security on the system, improve the security of the system design. Actually, there is a typo there. Okay, so we know that digital twins may reduce the attack surface by revealing the low points of resilience or the weak points in the architecture, in the system architecture. And then we can find unnecessary functionalities on the device or unprotected services. And this, in essence, is applying the least privilege. If you're finding unprotected devices, or if you're finding unnecessary functionalities enabled on a system and you go and disable them, that's hardening, okay? So this is part of the least privileged concept in digital twins. However, due to the lack of time, I won't be able to go through all of these benefits, but I hope you can. I'm happy to share my slides, and I hope you can go and do this exercise at a later stage. So it also helps or assists in the intrusion detection, because now what we're doing is, and this is very interesting, so I picked up interest in maritime security for obvious reasons. So maritime is being attacked regularly, but what do we know about maritime? What do we know about ship security? I literally knew nothing. It happened that I know someone who is a pilot in a naval ship in NATO, so I had many conversations with him to understand the basics of what goes on a ship. So one of the nice applications of digital twins is that you can build a digital twin of a ship and put it on the web and let people or hackers attack it, so that you learn about what they are trying to do. You learn about the tools they're applying. You know what are the vulnerabilities, okay? So what I want you to think about trust in two ways. So we want trust to secure our systems, but also we want to use the non-trust as well to deceive the attackers, to use it as a protection mechanism, okay? So let's see an example of how to do that. But before we go, I want to ask you all, is there anybody in the room that doesn't agree that this is a tank? So what do you see in front of you? Tank? Anybody have other thoughts? Okay, so we're all looking at this photo and we're trusting what our eyes are telling us based on our previous experience. So we've built a history in our brains, in our knowledge, that this is a tank, okay? However, this is a very superficial way to look at it. So if you look at this tank, if you want to destroy this tank, you want to target it with an anti-tank weapon. And the one that comes often in the news is the Javelin missiles, okay? The last time I checked that a Javelin missile will cost $197,884 US, so almost $200,000, just slightly cheaper than a brand new Ferrari Romeo, okay? So if I look at this picture, this is a tank. I want to destroy it. I am an attacker. I want to destroy it. I found this Javelin missile, and I want to shoot it at it. But look again. That was a decoy. It was an inflatable object. It wasn't a real tank. So if I shot a Javelin missile that costs $200,000 almost, then I've wasted my money. And it's not only that, I wasted the attacker resources. Instead of leaving that missile to the attackers to shoot it against a genuine target, I made them waste it, okay? So now they have less weapons against me. And the same thing we can do with digital twins. We can use them for cyber deception. We can use them as decoys to trick the attackers to think that these are real systems, okay? And then we can learn from what the attacker is doing on these replicas, on these decoys, in order to better protect our real systems, our physical systems, okay? So the way it works is like a honeypot. So now honeypots are not just networks. I can create a honeypot that is an airplane, a honeypot that is a ship, a honeypot that is a satellite. And I'm wasting the attacker's resources, efforts, but also I'm learning about their attack methods so that I can protect myself better in the future, so that I can use the digital twin or the decoy as a powerful tool for predicting and mitigating the cyber attacks against emerging technologies. And I mentioned before that we don't just want to protect the IT networks. The IT networks are now becoming, of course, very important, but we also need to think about the operational technologies. So if you think about airports, the healthcare, gas and oil, military, everything is connected, right? So how can we protect these devices? How can we maintain a high or even sufficient level of security, especially when the protected systems, they require to operate in the field? The attackers they have physical access to those devices. These devices or systems may be running for a long period of time. For example, I've worked on a system that was running for 25 years continuously. And that was a water boiler. So that system was really super. It has literally zero security on it. So if I can go and manipulate that system, I can easily cause an explosion, okay? And that explosion could lead to disruption of production, could lead to safety issues, and much more. So by providing a standard, highly detailed representation of the firmware, the cyber digital twins, they facilitate analysis of different operational technology devices by experts, and then we can use that information to protect against zero-day attacks and to prevent any violation of security. So if we have time, I wanted to show you just a quick demonstration. Do we have the time, or we're still on time? Okay. So, so in this demonstration, I'm just showing a smart city system, which is the EV, electric vehicle charging points, okay? So this is, just to be fair, this is a digital shadow, so we captured the data and we are replaying the data, okay? So you can see that, we can see the EV charging points, and this is the nice, I wanted to use this example because it shows you the other benefits of a digital twin, that you can have a real representation or nice visualization of real world environments, and you can use it for monitoring, you can use it for security and much more. So we can see that the EV charging points, their status, their whether they are used or not, the level of electricity and much more. And we can also see the communication between these devices and between a potential attacker. So here what we did is we created a virtual device that mimics a real-life EV charging vehicle, and we use that in order to attack the real-world EV charging points, okay? So this is what a digital twin look like. So in terms of lab facilities, this is what we have in our labs. So we have a lot of kit, including our own little satellite. We have pumps. We have lots of kit that we experiment with, and so this kit is being built at KFUPM, King Fahd University of Petroleums and Mineral, and it's meant to be a national facility for entire Saudi Arabia. So we'll have a number of systems, and as well as their digital twins for people to come and experiment with these systems in order to enhance the security posture of Saudi Arabia. So just before I let you guys just have a few closing remarks and conclusions to make about this very broad and very complicated topic. So according to many future projections, nearly everything in the future will have a digital twin. And the digital twin will not be like a feature that you build for a system. So usually it will become like when you buy a device, you will be provided with its digital twin with it. The same way now we have virtualization, digital twinning will become, we're talking about the digital twin will become like part of the software that is provided to you. And of course, that includes the infrastructure, supply chains, consumer electronics, and we also know that metaverses are becoming a big technology changers by connecting virtual experiences and simulations to create real-world experiences. So for the foreseeable future, no digital twin would be perfect representation of the physical objects, and matching all of the physical features of the physical object in the virtual world will remain a challenge. Because of course it involves physical, thermal, electronic, electrical, chemical, and much more. And this is a very costly affair and a challenging task to replicate. And in terms of zero trust adoption methods are being matured now. So there's a lot going on in that arena. And it's becoming much clearer now what a zero trust security architecture is and how to adopt zero trust both in the IT and in the OT worlds. And digital twins can offer a valuable tool for experimenting, and it can be an integral part of the methodology of integrating zero trust in both OT and IT networks. Particularly now we are even talking about the IT and OT convergence. We want the IT and OT networks to have the same level of security rather than continue to rely on air gapping to protect OT environments. So that's me done. I'll take any questions if there is any. Thank you very much. Yeah, please go ahead.
Does that affect the performance and how we can make a balance between the performance and the zero trust approach? Because we need to have many verifications processes, right? So how we can make a balance between the performance and the zero day approach? Thank you.
Very good question. So this is not referred to as this is not an issue at all in zero trust. So remember, zero trust is not about, we're not adding a new technology. It's about the way you approach. It's about the mindset. So instead of, for example, one of the key methods is segmentation, or we prefer to call it now micro-segmentation. You're simply creating more network segments. So that doesn't have directly a direct impact on the performance. But you are absolutely right that the continuous verification and authentication will add some overhead. But I think our devices, in terms of computation capabilities, they are far more capable to deal with these overheads. So I don't think it will affect the performance in that sense. That might be an issue in OT networks, I agree with you. But again, in terms of OT networks, the way that zero trust is being adopted, it's not like way to the device level. It's mostly to the segment level or the network level. Okay.
Thank you for the excellent talk. You discussed about the improved security on system design. Could you please discuss a bit about the assistance on intrusion detection systems, please?
Yes. So the example I gave to you. So now, of course, when we talk about intrusion detection system, we're talking about next generation firewalls, right? Which are AI enabled, and AI needs models, and models need data, and data is not available, right? So how can you train a model to protect against attacks on ships? If you go online now and search for data set for AI for security on ships, how many data sets you'll find? 0. So instead of just using synthetic data that we have composed, okay, now what we can do is we can use digital twins to create credible data, realistic data. So you create the digital twin. It's like putting a virtual machine online and let attackers handle it. What's inside that virtual machine could be a navigation system, it could be a communication system, it could be any type of PLC, a programmable logic controller, or any DCS system. And then you let the attackers deal with it, you gather data, and then use that data in order to train your AI models to make them more powerful and to help you perform more accurate intrusion detection. So that's just one part of the story.
Thank you a lot for this nice talk. I would like to ask how to verify that the digital twins is similar or it is the same as the real. And in such case, maybe it will lead to errors in verifying, or how we can trust these digital twins if we don't know if it is the same or not. And it may lead in mistakes in evaluating our trust in this digital twin. Thank you.
That's a very good question. And if you remember in my closing remarks, I said that, I remember my word, it's a costly affair to build a digital twin because it involves physical, chemical, thermal, electronics, and a lot of elements. And even in my definition to digital twins, these physical objects and virtual objects, they could also be affected by the environment, by environmental factors and external factors. So it's really very expensive to perfect a digital twin, okay? So you have to rely on building a digital twin, you need a multidisciplinary team, people from computer science programming, and people who really understand the physical object in order to be able to replicate it. So it is a big concern, okay, and depends on what you are doing with the digital twin. So if you're doing something sensitive, like you're building an aircraft engine, and Rolls-Royce are pioneers in digital twinning for aircraft engines. They are actually the main drivers or who started the whole thing. So if you're building such a sensitive equipment, you need to make sure that the digital twin or the physical replica is an exact copy of the physical one. And you can do this by testing. So you can go and try, increase the pressure on the physical and see what happens on the virtual. So you can do manual tests just to make sure that they both match. So that requires interdisciplinary skills, a lot of testing, and it's a non-trivial task. It's one of the biggest concerns, and it's very expensive to build digital twins.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
In terms of sustainability, how is it sustainable to maintain a digital twin, given that it has to be updated with system configurations? Already we have complex systems which have to be updated, so how do we mash that up with a digital twin?
That's also a very good question, because now we don't talk about systems, we talk about systems of systems, right? And the best way about that is to build modular designs. So until today, we don't have like a virtual twinning platform. So if now Microsoft, if you go online and type Microsoft digital twin, they try to do that. So they give you like modular digital twins. You can go and get like a conveyor belt. You can build a factory. It's like many devices, many modules. You can mix and match. Okay, so hopefully one day we will have a platform where we can feed in, or we can plug in a variety of modules, so that we don't have to recreate each module every time somebody is doing a different application. So until today, we don't have such a framework. We don't have such a methodology even, not to mention the framework. So if you want to do a digital twin for an aircraft, I'm afraid you have to go and do it yourself. But ideally, that aircraft is built from standard components. So you'd like, when you're building that aircraft, just to go and say, okay, add this PLC, it will be added. It will make life easier. And you'd expect to have the interfaces and the standardized methodologies and protocols to configure and maintain such digital twins. Yes, please.
Assalamu alaikum. I'm talking about a regular person. I have no knowledge about technology. What we do right now is doing an online transaction sometime. and we have to verify what our identity. Is this a zero trust?
Is this what?
A zero trust?
Well, yeah. So now if you go and do any online transaction, you want to log into your banking system. So number one, you're using multi-factor authentication. You enter your fingerprint or PIN code, or they will send you an OTP as an SMS, and then you enter it. That's multi-factor authentication. It's one of the key tenets of zero trust. Another example is, you say that you logged into your online banking and you want to send me 10,000 riyals. Then when you do that transaction, the application will send you, most probably, like if you're using Riyadh Bank, it will send you another OTP to complete that transaction. That's the continuous verification. Okay, so that's only two key tenets for you as an end user. So from the front end as an application user, but at the back end, that's where most of the zero trust is implemented, to make sure that your data and your transactions are secure.
By the way, it's very interesting topic and presentation.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Professor Muhammad. It was such an engaging session, and it was really fun. So before continuing more fun sessions, please let's take a brief pause for 10 minutes and have a quick coffee break. We can refresh, recharge, and then we'll be back shortly. Thank you.
He need to modify the presentation. Only he need to delete one.